What's going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 135 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast on this Tuesday, January 13th, 2026. I'm your host, Zach Malamo. Before we get started, please subscribe below. Follow all of my social accounts. Let's start things off in the world of basketball as the New York Knicks were in action this weekend. Starting on Friday evening, they went down to Phoenix to take on the Phoenix Suns, and the Suns won this game 112-107, the final, with 31 points from their star guard in Devin Booker, 10 of 23 shooting, but added 4 3-pointers and 8 assists as well. Also, Dylan Brooks was on fire for the Suns in this game. 27 points, 5 3-pointers, 7 rebounds, 5 assists in the game. On the other side for the Knicks, Jalen Brunson, once again, 27 points, 9 of 19 shooting, added 5 threes as well, but 5 assists in the game was not enough for New York. The story of the game, though, for the Knicks was the turnovers. 17 turnovers in this game compared to just 9 for the Phoenix Suns, and a winnable game down in Phoenix, a 5-point loss, 17 turnovers, 5 of them coming from Karl Anthony Towns, 4 of them coming from Jalen Brunson, 3 of them coming from Tyler Kolek, who only played 10 minutes in this game. 17 turnovers is the difference in the game, clear as day, and the Knicks end up dropping a winnable game against the Phoenix Suns, who, yes, are no slouch, and they've been really strong so far this season. 23-15 record, 13-5 now on their home floor after this game against New York, and the Knicks had to bounce back. They continued their 4-game West Coast trip as they went up to Portland to take on the Portland Trail Blazers. This was on Sunday, and the Knicks bounced back with the win, 123-114. They snapped Portland's 5-game winning streak, and Jalen Brunson was at the heart of it. 26 points once again for this Knicks team. He shot 10 of 19 from the field, 3 threes in this game, but had 6 rebounds and 8 assists to go along with it. But the story of this game for the Knicks was the contributions that they got from their starting lineup. 123 points in the game, and 106 of them came from the starters, as they got 18 plus points from each of their starters in this game. I mentioned Jalen Brunson, but OG Anunoby had 24 points on 9 of 15 shooting, 4 3-pointers with 7 rebounds in this game. Karl Anthony Towns was also red hot, 9 of 13 shooting from the field, 20 points in this game with 11 rebounds, and they also got Josh Hart back, who was a huge contributor for this Knicks team, started the game for New York, and he was electric in the starting lineup. 18 points in the game, 7 of 15 shooting, but had 3 3-pointers as well, 3 rebounds, and 6 assists to go along with it. Great to have Josh Hart back in his first game since Christmas Day, and the Knicks get Josh Hart in a lineup that is just rolling every single game from their starters. They're getting points everywhere, and that's something that you really like to see. You probably want a little bit more contributions from the bench, as Deuce McBride played 35 minutes in this game, had 8 points, went 3 of 11 shooting, 2 of 9 from deep. That's not good enough from Deuce. But then you look at Jordan Clarkson as well, only 3 points in this game in 13 minutes and shot 1 of 6 from the field. So not a great day for the Knicks bench, but the starters pick them up, and they get a 9-point win against the Portland Trail Blazers. And the West Coast trip continues again tomorrow night as the Knicks travel to Sacramento to take on the struggling Sacramento Kings, who are 10-30 on the year, but 7-13 on their home floor this year. And that's not a great sign for a Knicks team that's 8-10 away from home this season. However, Sacramento, one of the worst teams in the NBA, and they got a lot of injuries, suspensions, everything you like. They got it going on. Zach LaVine is their leading scorer this year, 19.9 points per game. Russell Westbrook's been an impact player since coming to Sacramento. 6.5 rebounds per game, 6.9 assists per game. But the Knicks should really handle this one pretty easily. A road game, yes, but it's in Sacramento against a Kings team that they should very easily beat. It's a 10 o'clock start tomorrow night. Make sure you tune in as the Knicks continue on with this West Coast trip. They finish it off with a game against the Golden State Warriors in a couple of days, and that should be an interesting one as they take on Steph Curry and the Warriors in that game. But right now, the focus is Sacramento. The Knicks taking on the Kings, 10 o'clock tomorrow night. Make sure you tune in. Let's shift things to the other side of basketball. basketball in New York, and no, it is not with the Brooklyn Nets. It is in the world of college as St. John's took on Creighton out in Omaha on Saturday. They come out with a 90-73 win, a tough place to play, but St. John's was up for the test, and they put up 90 points against this Blue Jays team, and 17 of them for the Red Storm came from Lefteris Liatopoulos, their leading scorer on the day. 17 points, shot 6 of 10 from the field, 5 of 8 from beyond the arc, and he has 17 points in 29 minutes. Clearly both season highs for him, but a good contributor that they have off the bench, and he was red hot in this game. A great contributor, like I said, off the bench for this Red Storm team. One of their only guys that is a pure shooter and can come in and knock down the long ball, and he did that in this game. A great game from him, but they also got great contributions from their guards in this one. Isaiah Sellers was 6 of 11 from the floor, but 16 points in this game, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Zuby Ejiofor was pretty quiet in this game, 12 points, just 4 rebounds, but had 6 assists as well in this game, along with 4 steals. And the Red Storm get a much-needed win against this Creighton team. A tough game on the road, like I said, and St. John's moves to 4-1 in Big East play this year. They shot 51% from the field in this game and 52% from beyond the arc. And yes, I understand they're going up against a Creighton team that the expectations are not really as high this year, considering they lost a lot of their guys from last year. When you look at Jemiah Neal being a very big X factor for them each and every game. But the big ones, of course, Ryan Kalkbrenner, who was there for 5 years in Creighton. They also had Stephen Ashworth, the transfer from Utah State a couple of years ago. He's out of college as well. So they lose the 2 big guys there, as well as Jemiah Neal, who really kept everything together, in my opinion. And then you look at Greg McDermott now just trying to piece things together. He doesn't have Jackson McAndrew, one of the big returners from last year as well. He was out early in the season with an injury. So they're really just piecing things together right now down in Omaha. And that's really what it comes down to for Greg McDermott and his crew. But even so, a very solid win for St. John's. They go on the road, they get a tough win, and they end up coming back home as they have a matchup with Marquette tonight. A 6:30 start at Madison Square Garden. The 6-11 Marquette Golden Eagles take on the 11-5 St. John's Red Storm, and St. John's comes into this game as 14.5-point favorites, total sitting at 157.5. And you might be saying, how in the world is Marquette as bad as they are? They lost a ton of guys the last 2 years in terms of guys that graduated, guys in the transfer portal. Everywhere you look, they are really struggling right now. And when it comes down to it, all of those guys, the core players for Marquette in recent years, when you go down the list, Tyler Kolek, Cam Jones, Oso Ighodaro, they had a couple more guys that really were impactful for them the last couple of years, and they lost all of them. David Joplin, another one, they're big from last year. So really, Shaka Smart did nothing in terms of the transfer portal, recruiting, did nothing. He feels like his guys in-house would be better off if they just kept things as they were and kept things going. And really, it's hurt them in the end. 6-11 on the year. They are not even close to the same team they were in the last couple of years. And this is going to be a down year for Marquette already. 1-5 in Big East play so far. So St. John should control things here. They're playing against a team that does not have a lot of experience, not a lot of real pure talent on their roster. And St. John's has to control things right now with a lot of pressure in the Big East, with a lot of other teams really catching up and trying to really move St. John's out of that first or second spot. Of course, UConn's probably the one team in the Big East right now that nobody's going to catch this season. However, St. John's really vying for that number 2 spot in the conference. They have Villanova as well as Seton Hall really playing well right now and probably on their tails. That's going to come down to the wire, especially when you get into Big East tournament play. Those seedings are really important, and St. John's needs to continue to win and a winnable game tonight, of course, against Marquette, who's really struggling so far this year. So make sure you tune in 6:30 tonight as the Red Storm hosts the Marquette Golden Eagles at Madison Square Garden. Shifting things to football as the New York Giants continue their head coaching search this offseason. They've interviewed plenty of candidates so far, including Kevin Stefanski, the former Cleveland Browns head coach. They also had former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, Raheem Morris, be interviewed by the Giants. They also had Antonio Pierce, a former New York Giant, as well as the former head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. But really, all this noise comes down to one man, and it's the former head coach of the Baltimore Ravens, John Harbaugh, who's still pending an interview with the New York Giants. If that is going to happen, they're waiting on that really to advance in their head coaching search. I think he's probably the top candidate on the board, number one on the Giants list as well, and rightfully so with his track record. But I think the better option for the New York Giants would be Kevin Stefanski in the end, considering that Jackson Dart is a young quarterback still learning in this offense, but also can really get to another level with a great offensive mind behind him like Kevin Stefanski. And this is a guy who's gotten the Cleveland Browns to multiple playoff appearances, even without a real consistent quarterback. Of course, one of the years was with Baker Mayfield, but really the next year, 5 different starting quarterbacks, and he's still able to make it to the postseason and ends up getting a win as well. Kevin Stefanski is a phenomenal head coach, in my opinion, and he's probably the best option for the Giants. I know John Harbaugh really is right there in terms of how I would rank him. However, John Harbaugh, defensive mind, yes, it could help the Giants out, but I think they really need to focus on their offense and getting this team rolling on the offensive side of the ball with a young quarterback, a young, exciting wide receiver in Malik Neighbors, as well as a young, exciting running back in Cam Scatterbo. Get those guys going. Get this offense rolling. The defense does need work, but Kevin Stefanski can really control things on both sides of the ball for this team, and I think that's where the Giants should head to get Kevin Stefanski. It's going to cost a lot, but I think it's worth it in my mind to get Kevin Stefanski on board as the next head coach for the New York Giants. They still have plenty of interviews to go. Lou Anarumo is going to interview on Tuesday. They also have Mike McCarthy, who's interviewing as well. They've requested interviews from Chris Shula from the Los Angeles Rams, as well as Jesse Minter from the Los Angeles Chargers. So there's still a lot to be done in terms of this Giants head coaching search. But Kevin Stefanski, in my mind, is the guy. John Harbaugh is right there with him. The Giants are going to want him. I just don't know if he's going to come to New York in the end. And I think that's going to be the difference for the Giants in this one. Get Kevin Stefanski to MetLife Stadium. That's the goal this offseason if you're the New York Giants. So we'll see what happens. Let's finish things off today in the world of baseball, as there's been a lot of noise from both New York teams in the last couple of weeks, but not a lot of moves to show for it. And the story on both sides, Kyle Tucker in Queens, Cody Bellinger in the Bronx. And that's really what it comes down to right now. In terms of Tucker, he would be a great contributor to the lineup for the Mets that is desperately needing power after they traded Brandon Nimmo to Texas. They lost out on Pete Alonso to Baltimore. And really, when you look at it, who's there in terms of power besides Juan Soto and Francisco Lindor, who can both give you some home runs? But, I mean, you can only hold so much in terms of those two guys, and career highs from Juan Soto in terms of home runs. But when you look at it, I think the Mets have to get Kyle Tucker in terms of his power. The question right now is, will they give him a couple more years? Probably not. If you get him on a short-term deal, that's going to be a great move for the Mets. 2 years, if they give him high AAV and he comes for 2 years and then goes back into free agency, that works for the Mets. They don't have to give him a long-term deal. He's going to be a solid contributor for them in the lineup and a huge contributor behind a guy like Juan Soto, and that's what you're looking for right now in Tucker. On the Yankees side of things, Cody Bellinger trying to tweak around with offers, and the Yankees are responding to that, but he wants 7 years, and there's just no way that a 30-year-old like Cody Bellinger is getting a 7-year deal. The Yankees are looking at 5 years, probably around 160 right now. They could include some opt-outs and really just showing more willingness to get a deal done with Bellinger right now. But Scott Boras, being Bellinger's agent, they're looking for 7 years, and rightfully so. If you get 7 years for Cody Bellinger, take it. And the Yankees will move on to something else because it just doesn't make sense. If they do get 7 years, go and walk and see you later. If they don't get 7 years, he should be back with the Yankees, plain and simple, because the Yankees are giving him the best possible offer right now. There's not a lot of teams in this sweepstakes, and they're not giving him what the Yankees are willing to give him. So he's looking for 7 years. He's not going to get it. He's going to hold out for a little longer, and I think this is going to be done within the next week or two because, of course, spring training starting soon, pitchers and catchers reporting pretty soon. Also, hitters going to report pretty soon as well. Cody Bellinger is going to be wanting to be a Yankee, and that's what it comes down to. He'll accept the deal pretty soon. If I'm the Yankees, I'm holding out and staying firm with where I am right now in terms of the contract offer until you see anything different from the offers that are going out to Cody Bellinger. He's going to be a huge contributor behind Aaron Judge this upcoming season, but you're not going to overpay for a guy like Bellinger, especially with his age being at 30 years old now. It just does not make sense, and the Yankees will have to figure that out as the weeks go on. But we'll stay tuned to some more rumors going around for both the Yankees and the Mets. There's still a huge need for the Mets in terms of their starting pitching, but they don't seem like they're getting anywhere in terms of that. The focus is Kyle Tucker, and we'll see what happens for the rest of the offseason because there are still plenty of guys on the market, and somebody's going to sign a couple of them. So we'll see what happens. It should happen pretty soon as Bregman signed with the Chicago Cubs recently. It's probably going to be some more guys trickling onto teams as free agency goes on in Major League Baseball. But that will do it for episode 135 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast. Please subscribe below. I've been Zach Malum, but thanks for watching and talk to you all on Tuesday.